I remember my mother telling me when she was small, my mother's now, this year she's 80. When she was small, in primary school, she could buy nasi lemak with a quarter cent. You know they had quarter cents at that time? They had quarter cents. And she could buy nasi lemak with a quarter cent. And that's less than 100 years ago. That's only 70 years ago. This is more than 100. How much would it cost to buy nasi lemak nowadays? 150, eh? 150 is the average. She could buy it for a quarter cent. So you divide 150 by a quarter, so it's about 600 times. True?
True.
My first degree is mathematics, so my calculation is quick. Right? 600 times. 600 times. So you multiply this 600 times. Berapa? So a lot of money. Why? Because Turkey at that time was called the sick man of Europe. It was bankrupt. As a state, the Ottoman Caliphate was a bankrupt government at that point in time. It was called the sick man of Europe. So there was a good offer. And not only that, they also offered, okay, we'll get rid of all your debts. We'll offer you 150 million gold. And not only that, we will wipe off all your debts. After all, your debts is to the banking system. The banking system is owned by the Jews. Right? And not only that, we'll create for you a Navy Armada. And we'll create a university named after you. And not only that, the most important thing is we make sure that you, Sultan Abdul Hamid, will retain your political strength. We will support you to remain as the Caliph of the Ottoman Empire. And this is what Sultan Abdul Hamid said. It will be difficult to translate. How do I translate this? Can you translate for her? How do I translate this? Keturunan ke apa in English? My descendants. Swearing on his descendants, he says that I would prefer to be cut up into pieces. I would prefer to be cut up into pieces rather than take Palestine out of the Muslim land from being owned by the Muslims, because the land of Palestine is not mine, but the land of Palestine is the land of all Muslims, and I will not allow anybody to take that land as long as I am alive. But if one day the Caliphate of Islam goes down, then you can take the land for free. And what he said came out to be true. They took the land for free. Not only for free, they took the land with the cries, with the blood, with the souls of the Palestinians on the land. They created what is called the Nakba, the catastrophe that has not ended until now. So what did the Jews do? Knowing that Sultan Abdul Hamid would not release Palestine, they got back together and said, okay. He said, how can we get Palestine? If he dies or if the Caliphate is destroyed, then it started, the Jews started the conspiracy to bring down Sultan Abdul Hamid as the last Caliph through Turkish nationalism and secularism, funded and planned by the Jews, until Sultan Abdul Hamid was deposed in 1917. And not only Sultan Abdul Hamid was deposed, to make sure that the Caliphate will not rise again, what did Kemal Atatürk do? Get rid of the Arabic language. The Turks at that time were speaking Arabic. They no longer speak Arabic until now. The Quran was not allowed to be written in Arabic. All Quran in Turkey at that moment in time, when Kemal Atatürk came up, what did he do? Abolish all Quran in Arabic and rewrote the Quran only in Turkish. It took Turkey now more than 100 years to come back to Islam. It took them more than 100 years, but they are back. Alhamdulillah. And if you look, the key declaration that legitimizes the existence or the possible existence of a Jewish entity, a Jewish state on the Palestinian land, was the declaration of Lord Balfour. Lord Balfour is the foreign minister of the then British cabinet. And this is what he said. And this is the declaration known as the Balfour Declaration. It says, His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object. What right does he have to do that? What right does he have to do that? Now remember, the Ottoman Caliphate has already fallen, and Palestine then was under the British mandate. And this is also what he said. See, it was Palestine, this is what he said. In Palestine, we do not propose even to go through the form of consulting the wishes of the present inhabitants of the country. They will not ask the opinions of the Palestinians. The four great powers are committed. Britain, US, Russia, and France. The four great powers are committed to Zionism. And Zionism, be it right or wrong, be it bad, good or bad, is rooted in age-long traditions in the present names, in future hopes, of far profounder import, meaning more important than the desires and prejudices of the 700,000 Arabs who inhabit the ancient land. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? A nation declaring to the world that we support Zionism and we do not care about the 700,000 people who inhabit the land. That, my friends, is the history of the Palestinian issue. The great injustice. And 1970 is the start. In 1918, it was supported by the US, and in 1923 they started the British mandate, where the land of Palestine was divided into two. Syria and Lebanon was given to the French mandate. Now remember, listen to what I'm saying. Palestine was divided into two. Syria and Lebanon was given to the French. Jordan and the current land of Palestine was given to the British. So how big is Palestine? Understand that Palestine is not the land, only the land that the Jewish state is in now. Palestine consists of Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and the current land of Palestine. And then they started bringing in hundreds and thousands of these Jews to migrate there. And in 1947, PBB made a declaration for what is called the UN Partition Plan. At the point in time of the UN Partition Plan, which is land in 1946, the white dots are the Jewish land. The Jewish own about 6% of the land. The green are the Palestinian lands. The Palestinians own about 94%. Some statistics says 8%, so 92%. And then in 1947, PBB or the UN said what? The UN says, let's create a two-state solution. Divide the land into two. One for the Jews and one for the Palestinians. Since the Jews own 6%, let's give them 56% of the land. Does it make sense? Since the Palestinians own 94% of the land, let's give them 46% of the land, or 44% of the land. Remember a couple of months ago, people were talking about the two-state solution. How the two-state solution, we should support the two-state solution. Remember that? My God! Okay. 40, I thought it's only 2. I'm given 2 plus. Remember people were saying that we should support the two-state solution. That's the two-state solution. Let me tell you this. If you support the two-state solution, you are no less guilty of total injustice and human rights abuse. The same as Balfour and the PBB and the UN. Remember this, at the point when the UN voted for a two-state solution, can any of you tell me how many Muslim countries voted against this? Can any of you tell me? Can any of you tell me how many Muslim countries were in the UN in 1947? Let me tell you this. None of the Muslim countries were independent in 1947. It is a declaration of a Muslim land by non-Muslims, not taking into account the 1 billion Muslims at that time in existence. No, it wasn't 1 billion, it was more 2 billion. Or more than 1 billion Muslims at that time, because the population of the world was about 4 billion. And we now says we should go back and support the two-state solution. Then you are no less, guilty as those people. That is gross injustice. We must never recognize the right of the Jews of Israel to exist on that land based on this partition. The Muslims were never consulted. The Palestinians were never consulted.